Hi, please relax. That's right, I am filming in the living room again. For now. In the last video I talked about how to start your story, and in this video I'm gonna talk about how to end your story. Please keep in mind, these are not tutorials, this is just my thoughts on how I end the story and how I think you could possibly make a good ending to a story, including the final line of your story. Which is something I didn't do with the opening of your story. Could you not do that? But that was something I would talk about in a future video. Contrary to what you might want to hear, it once again depends on the story. Oh, I'm so sorry. Obviously, it could be tragic, it could be satisfying, it could be unsatisfying, it could be sweet, it could be a setup for another story, it could be anything. The most important part about the ending is that it makes sense. You do not want to have your reader be confused after reading your ending. Of course, except if it's part of another story or a trilogy or 7 series or whatever. I gotta sneeze. I can't sneeze. But in that case, obviously, there are different rules, I guess. Not that there are actual rules in writing, but you get what I mean. I hope. I'll talk about that as well someday. A lot of stories end in a way that it properly closes an arc for a character. For example, Harry Potter ends 19 years after the war ended. I can't believe that I hesitated there. And suddenly he's at King's Cross with his family, and now he's happy, he's got his own kids, and his scar hasn't hurt ever since. Every single important part of the story, of Harry's story, has ended. He is now just a regular dude living a regular life with children he probably doesn't like. He literally can't like his children. He called them Albus Severus Potter. Of course he doesn't like him. I think it was a cry for help. I hope I'm in focus. And sorry about me, and yes, I am about to spoil the ending to my first novel. You can read it whenever you'd like, so just, skip this part if you don't want to hear it. In the ending, Miles finally accepts who he is, and he feels ready to change. He feels ready to start reconnecting with his brother Alex properly. And he's also finally come to terms with the death of his mother, as well as the death of his father and sister. It's a really, really sad story, but the ending shows growth, and he shows that he is ready to move on with his life and to become the person that he wanted to be. Did I think of that? What? And then there's Not My Dream Diary, which hasn't been released yet, so I can't really say how it ends. But I promise it will definitely surprise you. Not My Dream Diary releases in like 2 weeks. I am so excited. To give a more concrete answer, just like with TV shows and movies and maybe other books, you want an ending to either have you crave for more or be super fulfilling in a way that you're like, yes, this was a solid ending and I am happy to have seen or read that. So some of the endings of movies or TV shows that have the most impact on me are ones that leave me looking at the credits and go, what? Why would you make me feel this way? Some movies or TV shows or books or even games can really just make you numb in that way. It's not a bad kind of numb, it's just where you just, in a way that you have to take some time to process what you just experienced. And it's honestly beautiful. But let's talk about final lines. It's funny, because I was here last time when I started talking about the first line. It's full circle. Yeah, big brain me, definitely. It is hard to not sound cringe when you're trying to come up with a final line. And that's fair. There are so many books that all have different endings, that all have different final lines. Maybe not all of them. There's probably a couple that have the exact same words as their final line, but you get what I mean. Honestly, I think you want to try and sound sincere. You want it to make sense. Again, that's all this is about. It's about making sense. Of course, it could be anything. It could also be a gimmick. Maybe something like having the first word or the first sentence and the last sentence be the exact same. And it could mean 2 different things. That's something that I've wanted to try, but with the stories that I'm writing, it just doesn't make as much sense to do so. For example, last time I talked about a horror story I'm writing that starts with an action sequence and someone screaming for help. It wouldn't make sense for the final line to be someone screaming for help. Probably, depending on how the story ends. I don't know yet. You know what? That could be really cool. That just shows that it could be anything. It depends on how your story ends, and with that, how you want to close the story, because that is what the final line does, right? I mean, you also have about the author and acknowledgements and all that, but that's no longer about the story. But then again, it doesn't have to be a gimmick like that. It could also have a special meaning, or it could just be really simply a line of dialogue that's just fun. That's just a sweet line of dialogue. It doesn't have to be special. Make the final line whatever you want it to be. Oh, the battery's almost dead. Please give me like 9 more minutes. Like I said before, in Sorry About Me, it's all about the growth at the end, and the final line just really sums that up. It really sums up that he has grown a lot. The final line is, I'm proud of myself too. That just shows that he has made changes and that he is ready to become the person he wants to be. In the book that I'm currently writing, the one that I am struggling the most with so far, the final line was the first thing I had written of the entire story, because I knew from the setup of the idea that I had where I wanted it to end, and I knew about a line that would get really important in the story, so I knew that was gonna be the final line, and it's, every time I think about it, I just get excited. It's just so cool. When you read it, when you read the final line and you go back to the book, it's gonna be like, what? So that'll be awesome. Anyway, final lines are tricky, but with the right ending, they should come quite naturally. I'm sure it'll just make sense to you when you're writing it when you get there. I hope that somehow this helped you understand what I think makes a good ending. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and watch my other videos. Bye!